Hey, legal drama fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down what turned out to be not just the season finale, but unfortunately, the series finale of Suits LA. That's right. Episode 13, titled Freedom, marks the end of our journey with Ted Black and Company, as NBC has officially canceled the show. But don't worry, we're going to give this finale the comprehensive breakdown it deserves. If you've been following our recaps all season, you know we've watched Ted Black's journey from a former New York prosecutor to an LA entertainment lawyer to finally a man confronting his past and finding his true purpose. This finale brings together all the threads that have been weaving throughout the season: Ted's complicated relationship with Stewart, the mystery of Eddie's death, the romantic entanglements, and, of course, the high stakes legal battles that define the Suits universe. Before we dive into the nitty gritty, the usual reminder: this video will contain major spoilers for the entire season, especially the finale. If you haven't watched it yet and want to experience the twists and turns for yourself, now's your chance to pause this video and come back later. Don't worry, I'll wait. Still with me? Great. While it's disappointing that we won't get to see where these characters might have gone in a second season, Freedom does provide a surprising amount of closure for many storylines, while still leaving just enough open for us to imagine what might have been. In typical Suits fashion, we get betrayals, reconciliations, personal revelations, and even a few hints of romance. For this hour-long breakdown, I'll be covering everything: the final showdown with Avery Jeffers, what actually happened the night Eddie died, the unexpected use of Ted's father's estate money, the romantic developments, and, of course, that surprising merger proposal. So grab your coffee, settle in, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss our analysis of other legal dramas. Now, let's head back to Los Angeles one last time and see how it all ends for Ted Black and the team. The finale opens with Ted and Samantha preparing their case against Hollywood producer Avery Jeffers, the powerful studio executive who's been a thorn in their side for several episodes. While they've built a strong case showing Jeffers' pattern of harassment and abuse, they hit a major roadblock when a judge throws out their lawsuit on technical grounds. Ted, never one to accept defeat, realizes that Rosalind, who worked for Jeffers years ago, might be the key to taking him down once and for all. In a powerful scene, Ted approaches Rosalind to discuss her experience with Jeffers. While Ted knew some of her story, Rosalind reveals the full, horrifying truth. Beyond the mental and physical abuse, Jeffers sexually assaulted her during her time working for him. Meanwhile, Stewart seems to be moving forward with his own plans. We see him meeting with Kevin, Ted's former colleague from New York who joined the firm earlier in the season. Their mysterious conversation suggests Stewart is planning something significant involving Ted's father's estate money. The episode also continues the romantic subplot between Rick and Erica. After hiring Dylan Pryor to represent her, Erica is shocked when Dylan suddenly drops her as a client. When she confronts Rick about it, he reveals that Dylan had made advances toward him, but he rejected her because he still has feelings for someone else, Erica. This leads to the long-awaited kiss between these two characters, whose attraction has been simmering all season. Back to the main plot, Ted convinces Rosalind to testify against Jeffers. In a brilliant strategic move, he enlists prosecutor Elizabeth Smith, whom we've met in previous episodes, to bring Rosalind in and threaten Jeffers with multiple counts of sexual assault. This creates a powerful confrontation scene where Jeffers, realizing he's cornered, agrees to plead guilty to one count of sexual assault in exchange for avoiding prosecution on multiple charges. The condition: he must resign from the studio, effectively ending his reign of terror in Hollywood. The episode also finally reveals, through flashbacks, the night that Eddie, Ted's brother with Down syndrome, was killed. These powerful scenes provide context for Ted's complicated relationship with his father and his childhood friend Kenny, showing how this tragic event shaped much of Ted's life and career choices. In the final act, Ted visits Stewart expecting another confrontation. Instead, Stewart surprises him by revealing that he used Ted's father's estate money to name and expand a park in Eddie's memory. a touching gesture that acknowledges the importance of Ted's brother. Even more surprisingly, Stewart suggests that after all their fighting, he should have never cut Ted out of the merger and proposes they go through with it after all. The episode ends with several relationship developments. Samantha admits to Ted that watching him work made her fall for him again, while Amanda also expresses interest in pursuing a relationship with Ted. Meanwhile, Rick and Erica's kiss signals the beginning of their romance, and Kevin accepts a permanent position at Ted's firm. The final scenes show Ted agreeing to the merger with Stewart and Samantha, suggesting a new beginning for these characters, one we unfortunately won't get to see develop in a second season. Let's take a closer look at where our main characters end up in the series finale and how their journeys have evolved throughout the season. Stephen Amell's Ted Black completes a significant arc in this final episode. From the guarded haunted lawyer we met in the premiere, Ted has gradually opened up, confronted his demons, and found a way to channel his talents for good. His takedown of Avery Jeffers represents the perfect fusion of his ruthless prosecutor skills and his newfound moral compass. Ted began the series running from his past, but by the finale, he's made peace with much of it, understanding what happened to Eddie, finding closure with his father's estate, and even reconciling with Stewart. The final scenes suggest Ted might finally be ready for personal happiness as well, with romantic possibilities involving either Samantha or Amanda. Josh McDermott's Stewart Lane undergoes perhaps the most surprising transformation in the finale. After spending much of the season as Ted's antagonist, betraying him, competing with him, and undermining him, Stewart shows an unexpected depth of character by honoring Eddie's memory with the park dedication. His offer to revive the merger suggests genuine regret for how their partnership dissolved. Whether this change of heart is sincere or strategic remains ambiguous, but it's a fascinating evolution for a character who initially seemed to be the show's primary villain. Rochelle Goulding's Samantha Railsback finally reveals her true feelings for Ted in the finale. Throughout the season, their past romantic relationship has been hinted at, but Samantha has maintained a professional distance. Her admission that watching Ted work made her fall for him again adds a new dimension to their relationship. Her line about not being afraid of messy when it comes to mixing business and pleasure perfectly captures her character. Confident, direct, and unafraid to go after what she wants. Brian Greenberg's Rick Dodson and Lex Scott Davis's Erica Rollins provide the show's secondary romance, finally acting on the attraction that's been building all season. Rick's rejection of Dylan in favor of his feelings for Erica shows genuine character growth from the somewhat opportunistic associate we met early on. Erica, meanwhile, has evolved from an ambitious lawyer focused solely on career advancement to someone willing to take personal risks as well. Troy Winbush's Kevin Dillion, who joined the cast mid-season, finds his place in the finale by accepting a permanent position at Ted's firm. His loyalty to Ted, despite their complicated history, adds stability to Ted's often chaotic professional life. Maggie Grace's Amanda Stevens creates the potential for a love triangle in the finale by expressing interest in Ted. Her admission that she made a mistake in separating her professional and personal lives shows character growth and adds complexity to the romantic dynamics of the show. Mike O'Malley's Avery Jeffers serves as the finale's primary antagonist, representing the abuse of power that runs rampant in Hollywood. His downfall is satisfying precisely because the show established him as the type of powerful man who typically escapes consequences for his actions. Finally, the character of Eddie, though only seen in flashbacks and as a ghostly presence to Ted, receives closure in the finale. The revelation of what happened the night he died and the dedication of the park in his memory honor a character whose influence on Ted has been central to the entire series. Now let's break down the most impactful and pivotal scenes from this finale, moments that not only defined the episode but wrapped up the entire season's narrative threads. The judge throwing out Ted and Samantha's lawsuit against Jeffers creates the essential obstacle that drives the plot. This setback forces Ted to approach the case from a different angle, leading to some of the episode's most powerful moments. The scene is filmed with a stark contrast between the clinical courtroom and Ted's visible frustration, highlighting how formal legal procedures can sometimes obstruct justice rather than serve it. The conversation between Ted and Rosalind is unquestionably one of the episode's most powerful sequences. When Rosalind reveals the full extent of Jeffers' abuse, including sexual assault, the camera stays tight on her face, allowing us to see the emotional toll of reliving this trauma. Stephen Amell's performance as Ted shows restraint and compassion, a far cry from the calculating prosecutor we saw in flashbacks throughout the season. This scene not only advances the plot, but demonstrates how far Ted has come in his ability to connect with and support others. The flashbacks to Eddie's death provide the emotional core of the episode. Finally, seeing the tragic night that has haunted Ted throughout the series offers powerful context for his character. These scenes are filmed with a distinct visual style, more handheld camera work, desaturated colors, marking them as memories that remain raw and painful. The revelations about his father's involvement and his relationship with Kenny explain much of Ted's behavior throughout the season and provide closure to one of the show's central mysteries. The confrontation with Jeffers, where Ted and Elizabeth threaten him with multiple sexual assault charges, delivers the satisfying takedown the audience has been waiting for. Mike O'Malley's performance as Jeffers shifts from arrogant confidence to desperate self preservation, as he realizes his power can't protect him anymore. The scene is masterfully constructed, with Ted remaining mostly silent, letting Elizabeth and Rosalind's testimony do the work, showing how Ted has learned when to step back and let others take center stage. Stewart's revelation about the park named after Eddie comes as a genuine surprise, both to Ted and to the audience. Josh McDermott plays this scene with subtle emotion, revealing a depth to Stewart that we haven't seen before. The moment transforms our understanding of Stewart, suggesting that beneath his ruthless exterior lies someone capable of genuine empathy. Whether this gesture is sincere or calculated remains ambiguous, but it's undeniably powerful. The romantic developments between various characters provide emotional resolution to several season-long arcs. Rick and Erica's kiss feels earned after their complicated professional rivalry and growing personal connection. Meanwhile, the potential love triangle between Ted, Samantha, and Amanda is set up with nuance. These aren't arbitrary romantic complications, but natural extensions of established character dynamics. Stewart's proposal to revive the merger provides the perfect closing note for the series. It brings the story full circle, back to the central professional relationship that defined the premiere episode. The scene is filmed in Stewart's office, paralleling their first meeting in the pilot, but with the power dynamics and emotional context completely transformed. Ted's agreement to the merger suggests both reconciliation and a new beginning. A bittersweet note for a series finale, as we'll never see how this new partnership might have developed. Finally, the closing montage showing all the characters moving forward, Kevin taking the job at Ted's firm, Rick and Erica beginning their relationship, Ted considering his romantic options, provides a sense of closure while still suggesting these characters' stories would have continued in interesting ways had the show been renewed. Freedom works remarkably well as a series finale, despite not being designed as one. The episode manages to provide resolution to many of the show's central conflicts, while still suggesting future directions these characters might have taken in subsequent seasons. This balance between closure and open possibilities is difficult to achieve, especially for a show canceled prematurely. What makes this finale particularly effective is how it brings Ted's character arc to a satisfying conclusion. From the beginning, Ted has been haunted by his past, both professionally and personally. By confronting the truth about Eddie's death, finding purpose in taking down Jeffers, and even reconciling with Stewart, Ted achieves a kind of freedom that aligns perfectly with the episode's title. His journey from haunted prosecutor to a more balanced, purposeful lawyer feels complete, even if there were surely more stories to tell. The resolution of the Jeffers storyline exemplifies what Suits LA did best, showcasing the moral complexities of legal practice in the entertainment industry. By having Ted work with prosecutor Elizabeth, a character Amanda disapproves of due to her questionable tactics, the show acknowledges that sometimes fighting injustice requires uncomfortable compromises. This moral ambiguity has been a hallmark of the Suits franchise, and the finale leans into it effectively. Stewart's character development provides the finale's biggest surprise. After positioning him as Ted's antagonist for most of the season, the revelation about the park named for Eddie and his proposal to revive the merger add welcome complexity to what could have been a one-dimensional character. This development suggests the second season might have explored a more nuanced relationship between Ted and Stewart, perhaps akin to the complex dynamic between Harvey and Lewis in the original series. The romantic elements of the finale feel authentic rather than forced. The triangle between Ted, Samantha, and Amanda emerges naturally from established relationships rather than appearing out of nowhere for dramatic effect. Similarly, Rick and Erica's relationship has been building all season, making their kiss feel earned rather than arbitrary. These developments suggest that a second season would have balanced legal drama with personal relationships in the tradition of the original Suits. The flashbacks to Eddie's death, which have been teased throughout the season, deliver an emotional payoff that ties together many narrative threads. By finally showing what happened that night, the show contextualizes Ted's relationship with his father, his moral code, and even his career choices. This revelation comes at the perfect time. Any earlier would have diminished its impact. Any later, or never, had the show been canceled mid-season, would have left a crucial mystery unresolved. If there's a criticism to be made about Freedom as a series finale, it's that some character arcs feel somewhat truncated. Kevin's story in particular seems like it was just beginning rather than concluding. Similarly, the hints about Ted's potential romantic future feel like setups for storylines we'll never see develop. But these are inevitable issues when a show designed for multiple seasons ends after just one. Overall, Freedom demonstrates what made Suits, LA promising despite its cancellation. The show had established its own identity distinct from the original series with a darker tone, more complex moral landscapes, and a supernatural element that added emotional depth. While it sometimes struggled to balance all its narrative elements, the finale suggests the show was finding its footing and could have developed into something special given more time. Since this is the series finale, we won't get to see where these characters go next. However, based on the setups in Freedom, we can speculate about what a potential second season might have explored. The most obvious storyline would have been the dynamics of the newly merged firm. How would Ted and Stewart function as partners after their tumultuous history? Would they find a way to work together effectively, or would new conflicts emerge? The merger setup suggests a second season might have shifted from Ted versus Stewart to Ted and Stewart versus external challenges, perhaps similar to how the original Suits evolved the relationship between Harvey and Lewis. The love triangle between Ted, Samantha, and Amanda would likely have been a major focus. Ted's romantic life has been relatively sidelined throughout the first season, but the finale sets up genuine possibilities with both women. Samantha's directness about mixing business with pleasure, contrasted with Amanda's more cautious approach, creates an interesting dynamic that could have explored different philosophies about work-life balance. Rick and Erica's new relationship would almost certainly have faced professional complications. As associates at competing firms that are now merging, how would their romantic involvement affect their career advancement? Would they find themselves competing for the same positions, or would one have to make sacrifices for the other? These questions would have provided rich material for character development. Kevin's permanent position at Ted's firm suggests his role would have expanded in a second season. His history with Ted, from their prosecutor days, has been hinted at but not fully explored. A second season might have delved deeper into their past relationship and how it evolves in their new professional context. The fallout from Jeffers' downfall would likely have reverberated throughout Hollywood. perhaps bringing new clients and cases to the firm. Ted's successful takedown of such a powerful figure would have raised his profile in the industry, potentially attracting both those seeking justice and those fearing exposure of their own misdeeds. Most intriguingly, the resolution of Eddie's death might have opened the door to exploring whether Ted would continue to see Eddie's ghost. Was this supernatural element tied specifically to Ted's unresolved trauma about his brother's death, or is it a permanent part of Ted's character? The answer would have significant implications for the show's tone and Ted's personal journey moving forward. Additionally, Stewart's surprising gesture with the park dedication hints at layers to his character that remained largely unexplored in season one. A second season might have revealed more about his own background and motivations, potentially making him a more sympathetic character than his initial portrayal suggested. While we won't get to see these stories unfold, the rich setups in Freedom demonstrate that Suits LA had plenty of narrative potential left to explore. The finale leaves us with the sense that these characters' stories were just beginning, making the cancellation particularly disappointing for fans who had become invested in this new corner of the Suits universe. As we bid farewell to Suits LA, after just one season, Freedom serves as both a satisfying conclusion and a reminder of what might have been. The episode brings closure to many of the central conflicts that drove the first season, while still suggesting interesting directions for characters who won't get the chance to develop further. Stephen Amell's portrayal of Ted Black stands as the show's greatest achievement. His performance balanced intensity with vulnerability, creating a protagonist distinct from Harvey Specter while still fitting comfortably within the Suits universe. Ted's journey from haunted prosecutor to a man finding purpose and perhaps even happiness provides an emotional through line that makes the entire season feel cohesive despite its premature conclusion. The supporting cast, particularly Josh McDermott as Stuart Lane and Rachelle Goulding as Samantha Railsback, created complex characters who evolved in surprising ways throughout the season. The finale's revelations about Stuart in particular suggest the character had much more depth than initial episodes indicated. While Suits LA sometimes struggled to balance its many narrative elements, legal cases, character backstories, romantic subplots, and supernatural components, Freedom demonstrates that the show was finding its groove. The resolution of the Jeffers case and Eddie's death mystery show how effectively the series could pay off long-running storylines. The cancellation after just one season is disappointing, especially since the finale suggests the show was just beginning to establish its unique identity within the Suits franchise. The original series took time to find its footing as well, and Suits LA might have similarly evolved had it been given the chance. That said, we can appreciate the complete story we did get. Ted's journey from a man running from his past to someone confronting it head on and finding a measure of peace. For fans of legal dramas, Suits LA offered a darker, more morally complex vision than many shows in the genre. Its exploration of the entertainment industry's power dynamics and the personal costs of seeking justice in such an environment gave it a distinct perspective worth exploring. While the show won't continue, the themes it raised remain relevant to ongoing conversations about accountability and reform in Hollywood. What did you think of the Suites, LA finale, and the series as a whole? Were you satisfied with how the storylines wrapped up? Which character will you miss the most? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share with your fellow legal drama enthusiasts. While our Suits LA journey ends here, I'll continue to bring you in-depth analysis of other shows in the legal drama genre. Until next time, this is Amelia 2.00, making sense of the legal chaos one episode at a time. A.